Well, it's been great seeing all the comments from people who remember Splinter Cell and the nostalgia they have over the great gameplay from back then. There's also a lot of you who are commenting that it's your first time seeing the game and that you're just picking it up for the first time. So here's a little buyer's guide into the Splinter Cell series and which order you should prioritize. Of course, as a fan of Splinter Cell, I would play them all in order, but we're gonna go ahead and review them in order. We're just talking about the 6 core games and not Splinter Cell Essentials, which was a PlayStation Portable exclusive. All of the games still work well on PC. Some of them might require some fixing, which I highly recommend checking out pcgaming wiki if you encounter any problems, because they pretty much have a fix for everything wrong with these old games. Starting with the first one, the original Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell, released in 2002. Of course, I'm going to recommend this one. It's number 2 on my list of my favorite Splinter Cell games. It prompted all the sequels, so it's definitely a must play. Next, we have Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell Pandora Tomorrow. This one might be a little bit more difficult for you to get your hands on because it's not available anywhere digitally. So if you can get your hands on a physical copy or have some other means of acquiring it, I'm not going to talk about that. You can play Pandora Tomorrow. It was made by Ubisoft Shanghai and Ubisoft Milan, and it was the first Splinter Cell to have multiplayer. The second one had it, and had a fantastic Spies versus Mercs gameplay. The main reason I think some people might want to play Pandora Tomorrow more is because it's so hard to get your hands on compared to the other games. But it is still a good story. My top 4 Splinter Cell games are better than most games, not just the top 4 in the Splinter Cell series alone. Now, if you can't get your hands on Pandora Tomorrow and you really want to play the multiplayer, don't worry about it. Chaos Theory has you covered next. Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell Chaos Theory, released in 2005, was once again made by Ubisoft Montreal, and Ubisoft Milan worked on the multiplayer, which was again that Spies versus Mercs gameplay. So if you aren't able to get your hands on Pandora Tomorrow, Chaos Theory has you covered with the PvP. Chaos Theory also introduced co-op, which was probably one of the best implementations of co-op still to this day. Chaos Theory was also the first Splinter Cell in the series to have the M mature rating and has so much dialogue.
I think it's time for you to take a nap then.
I'm such a coward. You should kill me anyway. I don't deserve to live.
You are pretty spineless, actually.
I'm so ashamed.
Chaos Theory, number 1 on my list. Following Chaos Theory, we had Splinter Cell Double Agent, made in 2006. This one was once again made by Ubisoft Shanghai. The multiplayer was horrible, but the single player took Sam Fisher down a different route. Sam Fisher's daughter was killed in a car accident, and then he gets thrown undercover into a terrorist sleeper cell, one where even the NSA is questioning Sam Fisher's allegiance. So as you play through the game, you have to balance out doing things for the terrorist sleeper organization or doing things for the NSA. It's a really good game, a good concept. The reason why this is probably my 5th is because it was only good on one system. I think the PlayStation 2 was the one that was the most optimized system, and all of the other systems had horrible bugs, constant crashing. I mean, even when we just streamed the first 2 levels of the game, we crashed 3 times. It's hard to recommend because of the technical issues, but still a good game. The end of Double Agent leaves you with a choice. One is considered canon now, and the other one, well, that leads into Conviction. Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell Conviction, released in 2010, the longest gap that we've seen in the Splinter Cell games other than right now. This was once again developed by Ubisoft Montreal. It saw Sam Fisher going rogue. He's no longer part of Third Echelon, and he's actually finding out more about who's behind the killing of his daughter. Took the game in a different direction, even gameplay-wise. The gameplay from Conviction going to the previous 4 games is pretty unrecognizable, but I thought it was actually a positive step at the time, and still do today, in trying to refresh Splinter Cell without having to do a reboot. It sped up the gameplay a little bit to appeal to newer audiences without totally alienating the original fans. Conviction is a different experience though. It's not that same stealth gameplay that you're used to. There's kind of like a hiding mechanic, but not really stealth. They had a mark and execute mechanic that they introduced, which made Sam Fisher seem a lot more badass nonetheless, I enjoyed it. The one thing that I thought was really smart was avoiding the AI. They picked up the pace on it. This is why Mark and Execute, I think, worked well and still kind of fit into a Splinter Cell game, because with the last known position or ghost mechanic, the AI would actually remember the last place that they saw you. So this required Sam Fisher to be a little bit more mobile to reposition himself so he didn't get completely surrounded by the enemy. I thought it was well executed. I thought Ubisoft Montreal was the right people to advance the series if they were going to change the direction a little bit. Then that takes us into Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell Blacklist. Released in 2013 and developed by Ubisoft Toronto. Michael Ironside was not available for this game. He was fighting cancer. We didn't really know that until about 2018 when he voiced Sam Fisher again in the Splinter Cell DLC for Ghost Recon Wildlands. And it really upset a lot of fans that Eric Johnson, who replaced Michael Ironside for Blacklist, couldn't capture Sam Fisher's voice, and also he sounded so much younger.
I'm going to ask you some questions. When I think you're lying, I'll do this. Who do you work for?
Vyacheslav Grinko.
Tell me about him.
You're up. Show me viable positions for Overwatch.
Best sight lines are here and there.
Looks good. Grab a suppressed sniper kit.
Blacklist was probably most hated for not having Michael Ironside in it, but there was also a lot of gameplay choices that I would say were bad. And with Toronto making the next Splinter Cell, which is a remake, it does concern me too. So in order, I would say the #1 Splinter Cell game you should definitely play is Chaos Theory. Number 2, the original Splinter Cell from 2002. Number 3, Splinter Cell Conviction. Number 4 is Splinter Cell Pandora Tomorrow. Number 5 is Splinter Cell Double Agent. Remember, a good game, but it's only at number 5 because it's so poorly optimized for systems back then, for systems now. I think it was only playable really on the PlayStation 2. Lastly, Splinter Cell Blacklist. It's down there because it doesn't have Michael Ironside. It's down there because the lights that are glaring at you, this is a stealth game, but you light up like a Christmas tree with the... It's bright. The story on paper was good, just several things that were poorly executed by Ubisoft Toronto on that one. That's why it's number 6. That's my ranking for Splinter Cell and my buyer's guide. I know you're going to do what you're going to do in the comments, so just go right ahead.